It's late autumn in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, the season of harvest, Halloween, and the frost moon. Old superstitions have it that this time of year the veil grows thinner between the world we think we know and another realm, inhabited by the spirits of the dead, as well as perhaps other, stranger beings. I've lived in Lancaster all my life, and I've always found it to be a pretty spooky place, much to my delight, as my tastes tend to run a little on the dark side. Maybe it's the Amish Children of the Corny type vibe we've got going, or the legends of hexes and powwow magic. Maybe it's the abundance of local ghost stories. There are tales of werewolves prowling family cemeteries by the banks of the Susquehanna River, reports of massacred Native Americans haunting the Fulton Opera House, sightings of lanky, lantern-carrying specters in dark railroad tunnels. Yes, Lancaster boasts a rich and colorful lore of the supernatural, but the thing I'm trailing tonight strikes me as stranger than any river witch or ferryman's ghost I've ever heard of. It's our very own cryptid, the Albert Witch, also known as Pennsylvania's Little Bigfoot. No one seems to know for sure where the legend of the Albert Witch comes from. Some say it dates back hundreds of years to the Susquehannock Indians, who, like many Native American tribes, are believed to have had legends of an ape-like creature haunting the riverlands. There's a story, origin also unknown, that Susquehannock warriors would carve images of this beast on their war shields, perhaps to strike fear into the hearts of their enemies as they charged into battle. The creature's name, Albert Witch, is also a mystery. It's generally believed to have something to do with apples, meaning apple snitch, or maybe apple witch, referring to the creature's alleged habit of stealing apples from picnickers in the forest around Chickee's Rock, a place that's home to many dark legends. It was said that the Albert Witches lived in the trees and would make their presence known by cracking or whistling sounds. These old stories are fascinating, but vague and distant. So when I learned that the river town of Columbia, Pennsylvania holds a yearly Albert Witch Day festival featuring vendors, live music, and lectures by paranormal researchers, I was really excited for the chance to learn more. Rick Fisher is a Lancaster County-based paranormal investigator, author, and ghost hunter, and founder of the Paranormal Society of Pennsylvania. He's been in the ghost business for 50 years and has been featured on numerous television and radio programs. I showed up at Albert Witch Day just in time to catch Rick's lecture. The thing I was dying to know is whether anyone believes the Albert Witch, this legendary creature of old and unknown origin, might still be out there, or if it's just a superstition of bygone times, destined to fade into the mists of history. As it turned out, I received a pretty definitive answer to my question before I even got to ask it. Rick's presentation consisted almost entirely of modern eyewitness accounts, at least a dozen of them, that he's gathered of encounters with short, hairy creatures on lonely roads, including his own personal experience in the pre-dawn hours of Valentine's Day, 2002.
It was Valentine's Day 2002.
2002.
I was asked to do an interview for Channel 21 up in Harrisburg. They wanted to do something on ghosts. I'm known more for ghosts than Bigfoot. But I agreed, and as I'm driving up the road, Route 23 Marietta Pike, right before the Kinderhook Road, I thought it was a little boy walking in the road. And as I got closer, I realized that it wasn't a person. And I was thinking to myself, what is that? Am I actually seeing this? And I took my foot off the gas and I was coasting behind it. I mean, it was still up a distance. And I'm trying to see if this thing is real, coasting and trying to observe everything I could. And as I got closer again, I realized this wasn't a person. I was like, man, what is this? And I put the high beam. The whole time I got the impression it didn't even know I was behind it.
This is late at night?
It was 6 o'clock in the morning.
Oh,
February, Valentine's Day.
Okay,
It's
so
still dark.
Pre-dawn.
And it's a lonely stretch of road. And again, I got the impression that it didn't know I was behind it. I put on the high beams, and it turned its head and looked at me. As soon as our eyes met, it vanished. I knew it was intelligent then because as soon as I hit the high beam, it turned and looked. I knew there was intelligence behind it.
So when you say it vanished, you mean it actually just disappeared?
I watched it vanish.
Just
I mean, as soon as it turned its head and our eyes, man. All I saw was 2 yellow eyes and it was gone.
So that kind of hints at almost a supernatural
Supernatural.
type of being rather than just some undiscovered
Well,
primate.
I don't know, because some Bigfoot researchers believe that Bigfoot are interdimensional.
I've heard that.
Was this such a case? I don't know. The 128 reports I investigated, mine's the only one where it vanished.
Okay.
I mean, I even got out of the car, and I'm leaning against the car looking like, I know that didn't run off the road. I know it just vanished. That bothered me for a while. I mean, for a couple of
I would
months.
think so.
I didn't talk about it at all.
Yeah.
And I was researching. I didn't sleep for a couple of nights. Not that I was scared, but
It's unsettling. It's a shake-up to the worldview.
that, you know.
Many of the sightings Rick related came from people who approached him after lectures like the one I'd just seen. In fact, during the Q&A that followed Rick's Albert Day presentation, a man stood up and shared a story from his early childhood in the late 1950s. It seems that 60 years ago, this guy had several encounters along the lines of peekaboo games with a being he described as looking like a child covered with reddish-brown fur. This man wasn't at all frightened by the creature, referred to it as his little friend, who let him know through, quote, mind speak, that it wanted to be called Brownie. Now, I understand there's a fair chance that some of you will have checked out by this point, driven from the room by the frantic squawking of your bullshit detectors. Was it the mind-speaking fur kid? Well, fair enough. But what strikes me about many of the people who shared their stories with Rick is that none of them went looking for attention. They didn't go to the media or start YouTube channels. In fact, Rick says most of them feared ridicule, only coming forward after hearing the tale of someone else who'd seen it too. I was intrigued by the fact that a good 25% of these modern Albert Witch sightings happened in the same location, Pinkerton Road, near the golf course. Well, what would Scooby do? I decided we'd better hop in the van, head out there, and have a look around for ourselves. Ringo, man, I'm a little creeped out right now, bud. Yeah, what do you think? What was that? Did you hear that? Shit, there it goes again. Damn, what was that? Oh, shit. Did you hear that? Okay, this part's pretty dumb, and I should probably apologize for it, but I'm not going to. Anyway, you never know if somebody from the Sci-Fi Channel might be watching excitedly, stroking a massive checkbook with sweaty fingers. Have y'all ever Googled the stars of that show Ghost Hunters? Those guys are ballin'. I can't help goofing off. I'm drawn to a good goof like an Albert Witch to an apple, but this legend, these sightings, really do fascinate me. Whether the Albert Witch is actually walking around out there or not, stories of strange and unknown creatures are and have always been part of our lives, part of our world, part of our consciousness, and that makes them real enough. As always, I'll try to keep my mind open as wide as it'll go. I don't mind telling you that after talking to Rick and hearing that stack of eyewitness accounts, these days when I drive the winding back roads of Lancaster County after dark, headlights sweeping the expanses of forest and field, I gaze a little bit differently at the shadows, allowing for the possibility that a pint-sized, furry figure just might stroll into the picture and change the way I see the world forever.
Albert Witch.
One, two, three. Little Bigfoot, little Bigfoot, little Bigfoot, little Bigfoot, little Bigfoot. Dark nights on lonely road.
the only thing afoot tonight. Little Bigfoot, little Bigfoot. I remember that my dashboard clock said 5:18. You'd probably think I was crazy if I told you what I seen. The thing in my headlight stood shaggy, 4 or 5 foot tall. First took it for a child, but it wasn't that at all. Yellow eyes and the high beams glow out there on Pinkerton Road. Yellow eyes and the high beams glow out there on Pinkerton Road. Little Bigfoot, something strange from olden days still haunt these woods and fields. Some say Susquehanna Braves used to carve them on their shields. The sound of branches breaking carried on midnight breeze. Is that the wind that's whistling in the trees? Yellow eyes and the high beams glow out there on Pinkerton Road. Yellow eyes and the high beams glow might not be the world you know. Accept no imitations and acknowledge no imposters. Pennsylvania, this is your very own scary, hairy-ass monster. Some believe the Albert Witch went extinct in the 19th century, but I say that's a crock. Seems like there might be still a few little big feet prowling around Chickies Rock. Are these sightings delusions, hallucinations, inventions, or are supernatural half-pint ape men riding the pipeline between dimensions? Could it be true? And what does it mean to be true? There are deep, dark forests in the human mind, too. So whether your big feet make their abode in the shadows of the psyche or out on the road, be a pal, leave some apples for the Albert Witches. How do you like them apples, bitches? Yellow eyes and the high beams glow out there on Pinkerton